The silent crisis begins. If you're over 50, the most dangerous financial threat you face today isn't inflation, taxes, or market volatility. It's time and the terrifying possibility that you may outlive your savings by years or even decades. And the worst part? No one prepared you for this. For most of your life, the rules were simple. Work hard, save consistently, retire at 65, and enjoy the life you earned. But somewhere along the way, the rules quietly changed, and nobody bothered to update the manual. Americans today are living longer than any generation before them, but the retirement system didn't evolve with you. The math no longer adds up, not for most people. And yet, there's something else happening behind the scenes. While the middle class faces a silent retirement crisis, the quiet rich, the people who blend in, who don't flash wealth, who don't chase status, are navigating this new reality calmly and successfully. How? Not with luck, not with outrageous income, but with a completely different way of thinking about the next 30 years of their lives. Today, I'm going to show you exactly why most Americans will outlive their savings, and the practical steps the quiet rich use to avoid this fate entirely. Because once you understand the forces shaping your financial future, the anxiety you feel today turns into control, and control becomes freedom. So, let's start with the uncomfortable truth. For most adults over 50, the retirement plan they were promised does not exist anymore. The pensions their parents had, gone. The interest rates that once doubled your savings, gone. The cost of living, higher than ever. The medical bills waiting in the future, growing every year. And Social Security, the backbone of the retirement dream, is projected to cover less and less of the average American's essential expenses. But here's the part almost no one talks about. The biggest danger isn't running out of money. It's running out of time to fix the problem. Most Americans over 50 don't overspend because they're careless. They overspend because they're trying to maintain the life they spent decades building, a life that is becoming more expensive every year. Quiet rich people, on the other hand, do something different. They understand that the second half of life has very different rules. They know that at 50 or 60, every financial mistake is magnified, but every smart decision is also magnified. That's why they stop chasing what looks comfortable today, and instead start building what will feel secure tomorrow. Because here's the truth. You don't need millions to avoid outliving your savings. You just need a strategy designed for long life, not short comfort. And unlike what the financial industry tells you, this strategy is not complicated. It doesn't require risky bets, day trading, or perfect timing. But it does require seeing the world the way the quiet rich see it, calmly, long-term, and without the pressure of trying to impress anyone. Part 2. The 4 reasons most Americans outlive their savings. Before we talk about solutions, we have to talk about the truth. The uncomfortable truth most financial advisors never say out loud. People don't run out of money because they lived irresponsibly. They run out of money because the system quietly shifted under their feet. And unless you understand which parts shifted, you can't fix them. There are 4 silent forces draining the retirement security of millions of Americans over 50. None of them are flashy. None of them make headlines. But each one is powerful enough to erase decades of hard work. Let's break them down clearly, calmly, and without fear, the way the quiet rich approach their financial lives. 1. Lifestyle creep, the invisible rise. That no one notices, lifestyle creep is not overspending. It's normal spending. That increases faster than you realize. When your income rose in your 30s and 40s, your life rose with it. Nicer home, better car, more dining out, better vacations. You weren't being careless. You were simply improving your quality of life. But here's the problem. At 50 plus, the income slows down. But the lifestyle rarely does. And it doesn't have to be extravagant to be dangerous. Just an extra $400 a month on comfort. An upgraded car with a higher payment. A few more restaurants per week. A home that's bigger than you actually need. These aren't luxuries. They're habits. And habits compound just like money does. Quiet rich people understand this. They know that every upgrade you make after 50 becomes permanent. So they upgrade slowly, intentionally, and rarely. Not because they can't afford more, but because they know the long-term cost of comfortable spending. 2. The disappearing pension, the promise that vanished. Your parents had pensions. Many of your friends in earlier generations had pensions. You? Probably not. The shift from pensions to 401ks was one of the biggest financial transfers of responsibility in American history, and almost no one realized it. Retirement used to be guaranteed. Now it's DIY. Most Americans weren't taught how to invest. They weren't trained to think about risk, compounding, or down markets. And they didn't know they were supposed to save not for 10 years of retirement, but for 20, 30, even 40 years. Quiet rich families, on the other hand, have been training for this for decades. They treat investing like brushing their teeth. Boring, consistent, unexciting, but absolutely essential. They don't rely on a pension. They create their own, using assets that pay them whether the market is calm, crashing, or soaring. 3. Market timing, the most expensive habit in America. This is painful, but it needs to be said. The biggest retirement losses don't happen during market crashes. They happen during panic. Most people sell low. Most people buy high. Most people wait too long after the recovery has already begun. It's not stupidity. It's human nature. Fear is strongest after 50. You feel like you can't afford a loss. But that fear, not the market, is what destroys savings. Quiet rich investors do the opposite. They stay calm. They stay invested. They do less, not more. They trust the math, not the emotions. They know that missing the best 10 days of the market over a decade can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, so they refuse to play the timing game. 4. Medical inflation, the wealth killer no one sees coming. This is the silent assassin. Healthcare in America rises faster than wages, inflation, housing, food, even tuition. And as you age, the costs don't just increase, they accelerate. A single medical event can wipe out years of savings. Not because the care is bad, but because the system is expensive. Quiet rich families prepare for this with 3 strategies. 1. They maintain healthier lifestyles because prevention is cheaper than treatment. 2. They build larger emergency funds than the average person. 3. They plan for long-term care before they need it. It's not paranoia, it's preparation. These 4 forces, lifestyle creep, disappearing pensions, emotional investing, and medical inflation, are the reasons so many Americans risk outliving their savings. Not because they failed, but because no one warned them. And that's exactly why the quiet rich seem to glide through these late decades of life with calm confidence. They see the hidden dangers early. They adjust quietly. They play the long game. Part 3. How the quiet rich protect their future while everyone else hopes for the best. If you've reached your 50s or 60s, you already know this. Life doesn't slow down. Expenses don't slow down. And time definitely doesn't slow down. But here's what does slow down: your margin for error. That's why the quiet rich play the second half of life differently than everyone else. They aren't just trying to grow money. They're trying to protect time, stability, and options. And while most people think wealth strategy means complicated charts, formulas, or risky investments, the quiet rich do the opposite. Their entire approach is built on simplicity, calm, and long-term stability. Here are the 6 strategies they rely on, strategies that anyone, at any age, with any income, can use. 1. Cash flow. First, comfort. Second, quiet. Rich people design their entire financial life around one idea. I need my money to pay me, not stress me. That means fewer liabilities, fewer monthly payments, smaller fixed expenses, more incoming cash every month. Most Americans reach 50 still carrying car loans, credit card balances, personal loans, or even a mortgage larger than they need. Each payment is a leak. Each leak steals your future. Quiet rich families fix that early, not by making more, but by needing less. They shrink their liabilities until their monthly cash flow feels effortless, because when your expenses are low, your stress is low, and your time horizon grows. 2. They own assets that pay them back. The average person spends their money on things that disappear. Quiet rich spend their money on things that return. They love assets that generate income. Index funds, dividend stocks, real estate that produces rent, low-maintenance businesses, bonds for stability, T-bills for safety, annuities with guaranteed income streams. They don't chase get-rich-quick investments. They chase predictable cash flow. Because when you're over 50, the most powerful question you can ask isn't, how much can I make? But, how long can this pay me? Quiet rich know that an asset that pays even a modest amount, consistently, is infinitely more valuable than a fancy car payment that drains your account. 3. They plan for 30 years, not 10. Most Americans plan for retirement as if it's a 10 or 15-year stage of life. But the quiet rich, they plan for 30, 40 years of financial independence. Even if they don't live that long, they plan as if they will. Why? Because thinking long-term forces you to make smarter choices today. And here's a secret. Short-term thinking is the biggest enemy of people over 50. It leads to panic selling, overspending, unnecessary upgrades, fear-based financial decisions. Long-term thinking creates calm. Calm creates better choices. Better choices create lasting wealth. Quiet rich people aren't smarter. They're simply less rushed. 4. They avoid emotional investing. For the quiet rich, investing is not entertainment. There's no excitement, no drama, no, what's the market doing today? Their portfolios look boring, but that's exactly why they grow. Quiet rich investors. Ignore news-driven panic. Ignore hype-driven booms. Automate contributions. Rebalance occasionally. Stay invested even in down markets, because they understand this universal truth. The market rewards patience and punishes emotion. Most Americans lose money because they react. Quiet rich gain money because they don't. 5. They build buffers, multiple ones. The middle class has one emergency fund. Quiet rich have several buffers designed for different problems. Medical buffer, home repair buffer, short-term income buffer, long-term healthcare buffer. Does it mean they're anxious? No. It means they're prepared. Preparation reduces fear, and when fear is low, decision-making improves dramatically. 6. They know that enough is a financial superpower. This is the mindset shift that separates the quiet rich from everyone else. Most people overspend because they're chasing approval. New car, new phone, upgraded home, nicer vacation. Quiet rich don't need any of that. Because when you truly feel you have enough, you stop leaking money trying to prove it. And the money you stop leaking, it becomes the money that builds your future. This isn't minimalism. It's simply refusing to play a game you can't win. Quiet rich win by stepping out of the comparison cycle entirely. When you put these 6 principles together, you start to understand why the quiet rich move through life with calm confidence. They aren't relying on luck. They're not hoping things work out. They're designing a future where running out of money simply isn't possible. And the best part? Nothing in these strategies requires high income. Nothing requires perfect timing. Nothing requires being rich. Only clarity, consistency, and peace with enough.